Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of Mischief Maker. I'm Jade Prosser. I'm filming from Vancouver, British Columbia. On Instagram, my name is Stitch Mischief. On Ravelry, I'm also Stitch Mischief. And I have a Ravelry group called the Mischief Maker podcast, and I'd love it if you came over and joined us. I spent some time in there today, a lot of time, reading through all these beautiful comments, and oh my goodness, you guys are everywhere. There's France, the Netherlands, I think, Germany, Finland, I think, Denmark, New Zealand, the UK. There's so many countries. I'm so jealous. I wish I could go to all of them. I've been nowhere. But so I had this idea. I was wondering if any of you guys know of a way of making like an interactive map so I can keep we can see either in our Ravelry group or somewhere a map of all the different countries. Oh, Africa. I was so excited to see that one. And Atticus says hi. Okay, so yeah, I just love that idea of being able to like pinpoint all the different countries we've reached. This is just so incredible, and I just want to say thank you. So let's get into it. So as for finished objects, I really don't have any. I'm so close to a new one, but with all the prep for Knit City, and it's taken a lot of my time and energy getting ready for that. But after Knit City, I suspect I'll have finished objects hopefully every single week, because the stress will be off and I'll be able to sit and do crafting while the kids are doing schoolwork in fall, and I can't wait for fall. It's it's not overcast. It's a smoky day here in Vancouver again. We still haven't had rain in, I think, a few weeks, and even then it was only a few drops, pretty much, which is weird for the Pacific Northwest. I really miss rain. I'm a rain lover. I'm happiest when it's raining and cozy. Anyways, okay, so I'm not going to show you, or rather, let's not jump ahead here. For Whip It Good, I'm not going to show you the Entrelac mitts that I'm working on just because I forgot them, and you can't really tell from far away anyways. But I've made it to the Entrelac, and I'm a few rows of triangles into it, and I've decided I hate it. Hate's an awful word. Severely dislike knitting Entrelac. I'm not sure why I have this project. I'm not even sure how I managed to finish the object for the first glove. So I have to finish them, but I'll get it done and then never again. And then today, this is part of the reason why I'm so late filming today. I was kind of procrastinating. So, also if you hear any funny noises, the neighbors they're like right there, out in their pool and stuff today. So anyways, I was sitting having coffee this morning, de-stressing and trying to get my head around the podcast, and hoping I could figure out the solution to everything. And I accidentally knit almost half of my lace for this next coming section. So I finished my brioche this morning, and then I'm into the lace, and I love it. I love it with cream. I love anything cream, obviously, and also stripes and brioche. The fun thing about Andrea's shawls, Andrea Mowry, this is Baubles, is she changes her patterns up just frequently enough that when you're at the part where you're like, oh, I'm getting really tired of this particular type of knitting, you switch into the next section. So I was getting kind of sick of brioche there, and then we moved into lace, which I like. So that's been good. I didn't mean to spend so long knitting on it today, but I got a lot done, and it's nice. It's nice to go back to single yarn instead of working with two colors for a while. Also, another whip. It's just whips these days. That I've been working on is my Birds of a Feather shawl, also by Andrea Mowry. These are probably two of my 5 largest whips that I have on my long whip list. And I think this is the wrong side. Yeah. So this is my progress. No, it is not a giant thong. It's just a very deep V. one of my friend's husbands asked if I was knitting undergarments when he saw it on Instagram. So I thought that was quite hilarious. So it's hard to show the colors right because it's so fine through the mohair that it lets all the light in, but it's like pinks and greens, which I'm really loving as colors lately. They're so soft and delicate. So this is, the pink is Anna, and then the cream is like my color Anna, but without the pink over dye, which I have my order of mohair and kid silk single ply coming in this week. So I'll be able to finally get some into the shop a little bit. More so after Knit City. Right now everything is focused on getting ready for Knit City. And I also have, this is my little Finch bucket from last week. I love this so much. I love having my own small one. I didn't realize this is such a handy size. It's just perfect for a few skein projects and the actual project and pattern. And yeah, I love it. So that is 2 of my whips. So some dream knitting. I really like that term. I've heard it in a couple other podcasts. This week, Karina Spencer came out with the most clever design of a shawl. It's not even a shawl. It's kind of a shawl. It's knit like a very long V, and then it wraps. It's like a lace thing, and then it has bits that go around the back and come around and then button up. And it has stripes and lace. So I love it so much. So that's in my dream list. And then also, I think last Friday, the Knox Mountain Knit Company girls, Sasha and Willow, came out with a shawl called Fintry, which is also on my list. I seriously just need to stay off Instagram because there's so many good patterns and I really just want to knit them all, but I'm really trying to be tough with myself and finish stuff, which I'm working on it. But I'll show you why I haven't finished very much knitting on my on the table section. So for Knit All the Socks, I have just about finished my Coffee Talk socks by Tracy Miller. And when I do, I'll show them to you next week. And hopefully I'll have some yarn in the shop in the colors that I used because I really love them. And I wanted to have the 2 coincide, but I haven't been able to dye yarn due to many, many things coming up. So that's all I have to say about that. Oh, ooh. And speaking of dream knitting, I have it over there. Maybe I have it on my phone. There's a new pattern by Jooles. Her podcast is So Sweet Violet, I believe. And she has this beautiful pattern that I believe she and Amy, okay, so it's Jooles, and her pattern is, there we go, Amy Lowden and Jooles Hill. And so they're in the UK. And the socks are called Soul Sister socks. So I don't have a picture of the cover because my printer decided to kick it in the image printing department. But it's called Soul Sister socks. And if you see them, you'll know why I want to knit them. They're rainbow gradients. So obviously I want to knit them. And then I have another surprise giveaway for you guys. I just can't get over this podcasting thing. It's opened up such a community with the knitting and crafting world. I'm just so thrilled. But she told me how to say it and I'm going to forget. A wonderful person on Ravelry, designer of sock patterns, has gifted us a sock pattern to give away today. So I have gone through my hello tag or group thread and have picked one person to receive this free pattern. It's called Wallaby Way, and it's sort of like a create your own adventure sock pattern with different little animal motifs. So the winner of this free pattern is someone I thought was it wasn't a random picking. I picked it just because I thought it would fit. But is Sue Pink, SUEPINK. So you will get a copy of this pattern. So just after I get this up, I will have Sara Lozzi. I did say it wrong. I even asked how to say it, and I did it wrong here. What did she say? It's pronounced, yeah, oh, I did say it right. Sara Lozzi. So again, the pattern's Wallaby Way, and that's coming your way, Sue Pink. So I'm very excited. I hope you like them. I know you like to knit socks, which is why I picked you. Okay, so this is why, here, sorry, I'm getting all dry here. The smoke in the air has made my voice go all funny lately. So when I was last week, my mom took the kids for a day, and I haven't been alone in my house. Was this Friday? Possibly Friday. Friday. For a very long time. So I was so excited to be able to start crunching on my Knit City prep. And I decided a reasonable amount of bags to cut out is 120. It's insane. So anyways, I have mountains behind me of stacks of bags that I've been cutting out all the fabrics that go in them. So let's see. So I have 40 Finch buckets, 20 of each size, and 40 Twiggy pouches, and I just need to start cutting out what do you call them, the wee bra bags. So yeah, so like I would cut out everything for the pouch in a row. So like I have, for example, this pouch, I have this will be its future lining fabrics. I have the casing fabric, it's showing up white, it's pink and white stripes. Bottoms of the bag, top of the bag, and its pocket. For the ones I'm selling, I've decided to just pocket one half of the bag because I don't find that I use all the pockets on mine, and I don't know that that's I don't want to waste fabric if people don't need pockets all the way around a bag. It seems excessive and wasteful. So for the ones I sell, we'll only have pockets on one side. So that's been fun. And let's see, there's one of them I want to show you here. So I've been obsessed with, if you follow me on Instagram, you know I absolutely adore everything Anna Marie Horn too, but also Anna Rifle Bond. So she designs fabric for cotton and steel, and every single collection she does is just amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm trying to find the bag I want to show you. So one of her prints in her newest collection is called, no, I don't know what the print is called. The line of her newest, I don't have it here. It's the other pile. Okay, anyways, it's a panel print. This is the top part of the panel. So it's like, if you have your fabric is 42 inches wide. Oh, look, they're drilling. Okay, here's the top end. So there was another part. So another bag is getting the bottom part of the panel. Okay. So here's the upper part of the panel. I'll just use my chest as a rest here. So this is from a different bag. And here's the bottom. So originally this was all one fabric, but I cut them just so that you could have around the bottom of the Finch bucket. It'll just go around, not around the bottom, around the top. And then the other bag will have this upper part, so it's more blue, less print, which is so gorgeous. The art is phenomenal on these bags. And I've completely mixed up my bag stuff, which I will have to fix after. But I love this English garden line so much. I'm sure I'll get sick of it eventually, because when you do anything and by the dozen, you get a little bit tired of it. Yeah, so that's why I haven't knit as much, and I've actually never cut that much fabric in my life. I've been ordering fabric and bringing in fabric by the 5 yards of fabric, type of fabric, and cutting it, and it's like gone. Just fabric after fabric. I've never blown through yardage like this before. Hopefully it means I'll be ready for Knit City. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to. And so now I'm going to just quickly adjust the camera and bring in my daughter for her segment called Little Stitch Maker. Just 1 second. All right, hi. So this is my daughter, Skylar. She is Little Stitch Maker on Instagram. And yeah, so we were kind of blown away with the response she received. Apparently she could be my co-host or steal the show. So so this has been fun. So we thought we'd bring her back for another segment because she has some stuff to show you. So what you got, babe?
So I think yesterday we finished knitting my scarf. It just is like, it's easy to,
yeah, it's gonna be good.
Just a small pin. I don't know if I have it backwards. Maybe twisted or something. But it's easy to just like pin for a small, easy put on scarf.
Mm-hmm. And we used up yarn, which was good, right?
Yeah, there's like this much left.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Good job. So next time we do something like this, see how the edges are curled, we'll make sure that we do some sort of ribbing on the sides to make it lay flat. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it will be cozy, right?
Yeah.
All right, so then it's brand spanking new, but she has a new whip.
Yep. So we're starting the Sagebrush Cowl by Knox Mountain Knit Co. It's just like 3 rows.
It's still tiny. Yeah. But it's a start. It's one of those things where it'll go row by row, right? No pressure, just like no thinking about what's coming next in the shawl. Just come and see me if you have questions. And yeah, so she's doing the kind of garter along the bottom of the cowl. So that's been fun. So it's good to switch it up, after having had that other one on the needles for so long.
Or you just have to switch it, but now that you're knitting in the round, it's so much easier because it's so hard to just have to switch and make sure you're on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
So I like knitting in the round, like how I knit my cat hat.
Your cat hat?
Not cat.
Your hat. Yes. Yeah, the run for hat. Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see how that grows. It's good to have another fun project to work with. Great. Okay, so last week Skylar mentioned that she's been getting into drawing, and this is something that's completely her own. I've never really done much other than in high school and whatnot. And she's doing really, really good. I'm very impressed with her progress and her dedication to teaching herself. So she wanted to show you, a few people asked to see some examples of what she's into with drawing. So tell us about it.
So I draw things based on the tutorials by Moss Ink on Instagram. She does these cute little cartoon people, so I decided I'd try something sort of like that. So down here I made a little...
I am going to insert some close-ups. There's no way that you'll be able to see that from there.
It's like a little red and pink tutu with little ballet shoes on a hanger.
Mm-hmm.
And here, Mom used some very special, I think, alcohol markers to blend these really nice colors.
Because if I can play with color, I'm going to play with color.
So these were suggested by my friend Hillary, who is, I think, HQ Cards and Crafts, I think, on Instagram. So she recommended some special alcohol markers. They look like this.
Don't bother doing that. Nothing focuses yet.
So it's like a full bag. I think like 12, 17, maybe 20 markers. There's like a whole bunch of markers. Mm-hmm. And they so easily blend, which is how Mom made these beautiful colors.
Thank you.
So
they're beautiful markers.
Yeah, they work really easy.
Mm-hmm. And what's funny is the front side, I'll do pictures after, but the front side, it looks one way. And then this is just like sorry, this isn't a fancy whatever, but I love her little drawings of people. But on the back side, it's kind of like watercolor, and then it's soaked through a few layers of paper, and it just gets more and more interesting as it goes through the layers. So that's something that I've never used, this kind of tool before. So she really likes drawing. She spends a lot of time looking at tutorials and practicing and practicing and practicing. So that's been fun. And what did you learn while you were at Oma's the other day?
Well, Oma has been teaching me how to do macrame. So it's like just making knots to make stuff. So I've been practicing doing all the different knots. And so there's this pattern, which is a combination, I think, of two different knots.
I have no idea. I've never done it. So that's fun. Something you can do with Oma.
Yeah.
So during this summer, while the rest of the summer, it's almost over, their school doesn't start till after Labor Day here in Canada. So the kids are going to be seeing their Oma maybe 3 days a week so that I can work full time and get ready for Knit City. So this has been so fun for them to be able to just go over there and hang out with her. She's awesome. All right. So anything else you want to talk about? Or are you good?
I think that's it. Oh, there might have been one drawing I forgot to show. There was one at the back. Yeah, there. So,
ooh, I like this one.
Yeah, this is one that I took. I didn't really take it. I just copied Moss ink and tried drawing it's a little Alice in Wonderland. And it's just so cute. And then there was some more practicing on this page.
I like the back one too.
Oh.
That one they actually might see.
Yeah. This is...
No, just back up. Remember, we're in focus on me.
This is my first attempt at drawing one. The first one that I saw. So I've improved with my pen. I've gotten a better
so
pen.
Good. Yeah, I'll flip in some pictures. I'm actually going to be prepared today for that. Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Skylar. And I will... Can't wait to see what you do next. All right, so that was fun. I totally meant to say this earlier and I forgot to, but I was delivering a bag. Sometimes I do that if someone's local. I will deliver or have them come pick up purchases from the shop, just because if we can save on shipping, then let's do it. Anyways, I happened to be in the area for somebody who had purchased a Weebra bag, and I popped by, and she surprised me with this amazing gift, and I will do close-ups, but it's just so perfect for me. So she gave me one of the gifts. There's two parts. Is this little necklace, and it has, I don't know if you can see, it has some little they're not charms, there's actually 3 removing stitch markers on it, and one of them is a little tiny white enamel sewing machine, and one is a little tiny heart that says Yarnaholic on it with a little embossed ball of yarn on it. And then there's these cherries. So if anyone who knows me knows I love cherries. I am a sucker for red in general, red and yellow, and cherries. I just love them so much. So that's my necklace, and they're removable, so I could take them off and put them on a project or what have you. So my friend's name is Leona, and she is of, so I'm just trying to make sure I reattach here, Blue Merlin Makes. She gave me this beautiful little package. I totally need to up my game in the package wrapping department. Beautiful card from her. Anyhow, so the other thing she made is she makes these beautiful dolls and jewelry and fun things with yarn. And she made, okay, this is seriously, you guys, one of the best things ever. So it's hard to, I don't know if you can see against here. It's this tiny little pendant, stitch markery kind of thing that you could use for that or on the necklace. And in it, there's a little braid of yarn. The yarn is yarn I dyed that she bought from my shop last fall, and it's in the color called Falling, and I just love, love, love how it turns out here in this little thing. So I'll pop in some close-ups there, but oh man, what a surprise. This community is so beautiful. to each other. I thank you, Leona. You're amazing. I just love it so much. And so I thought I'd wear it today as a thank you and because it's so cute and I love it. Right. So question and answer segment. So every week I've been doing this and I keep thinking this will be the week. No one asks questions and I don't have anything to say. But I'm always shocked at how many questions I have. Sometimes there's ones that are repeat, so I'll just say, refer back to this episode or whatever. But there's always questions. So here's one. I'll just kind of go through them fast if I can, slow if I need to. One is, do you plan to finish all your whips? Whips are called, they're works in progress. And yes, the answer is yes. So one way or another, they'll be finished or off my list. So if it's frogging, donating, giving away, it's going to be, I really would like a clean palette of like five of one type of project or less. So like knitting, I would have maybe, in my dream world, I'd have maybe 4 or 5 projects that on the go instead of, I'm still in the 20s in terms of whips. Mind you, I consider if I've done one sock, I consider that second sock a whip until it's done. And I count them separately. I don't count the socks as a pair as a whip because a knitted object is a knitted object to my brain. And just because you have to make 2 doesn't make it any less work. So it's that time of day. Oh, I hear the baby. Okay, so have I ever tried stranded color work? Yes, I have. The hat I showed in my last episode was stranded color work with the little sort of ombre going around. And also I have on my needles is my Zweig sweater by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Networks. And I didn't get very far. Thank you. So this is one of my colorways. And this is on my Decadent fingering. And I forget what color it is. I think it might be Meg. It's Meg. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful color. It's kind of a pinky, mauvey color. It's super calm, actually, is one way of thinking about it. And so I have this color paired with a sort of antique white in my sweater. And I haven't been focusing tons on this because if I can clear up whips, I have only a little bit of stuff on them to do before they're done. I'm doing those first. But this is my pathetic amount of knitting that I've done on this sweater. So it's stranded color work. Here it is. Where you carry yarn floats through. And yeah, I really like the colors. It won't be done for Knit City. I'm being realistic here. So I'm just entering the lace portion here. So this is the other color in it. Kind of an antique-y, I don't even know what you would call that. Like an antique lace color. So that's my stranded colorwork question answered. Another question was, I apologize, sorry, I got fiber up my nose. Oh, downside of yarn. If I have advice for choosing the right yarn for a shawl, and for that, if it's for a shawl, like it's different than yarn for socks where you need to go by content, fiber content and whatever, but I go by color and I go by texture. So if it's something I want around my neck, that's what I let guide my choices for shawl color and shawl yarn choosing. I've noticed too, while editing my podcast, is I roll my eyes a lot, and I'm trying to curb myself with this habit because it drives me around the bend when I see that, and I'm trying to knock it off. So it's a learning curve. Okay, the other question is Knit City tickets. Can they be bought at the door? Yes, they can. This is how I always in the past have gotten in. You just buy them at the door. I believe you can buy them 1 or 2 day passes. And you asked also about Knit City giveaways, and there are always Knit City giveaways baskets that are announced possibly throughout the day. Vendors I don't think have so many giveaways, possibly because they've already given things towards the baskets that are being given away over the weekend. But maybe they do, and I just haven't noticed. I don't know. Someone asked what podcasts I recommend. So I am very new to watching podcasts, which is ironic, I know. But I have been enjoying the Grocery Girls. So Sweet Violet. Make sure I have the name right and everything here. Whenever I'm filming, my words get mixed up and jumbled and things come out funny, and I'm pretty sure it's so... See, I wrote So Very Violet. That's not right. It's So Sweet Violet. Here she is. I like You Loco. And I'm actually So Sweet Violet. There we go. Sorry. Okay. Tie Dye Diva is a friend of mine. And also Little Bobbins. I find her very soothing when she's talking. It's very chill. I have more that are on my list that I haven't got to yet, but I will. Okay, so somebody asked if I had any tips for actually quilting a top that you've pieced. So to the knitters out there, when you're quilting, you'll sew together all your blocks and whatnot into a quilt top, and then it's layered with batting and backing to make a quilt, and then sewn together. So that's what I mean by quilting. Tips for that is practice makes perfect. So I would recommend watching YouTube videos, make practice sandwiches. It depends on what kind of quilting you want. Are you wanting free motion quilting? Are you wanting straight line quilting, which is kind of sometimes an easier way to start? If it's free motion quilting, I would recommend practicing before you start on your actual quilt. This is what I was talking about last episode, about how when I started learning how to free motion quilt, I had to practice and practice and practice and make tons of mistakes first, so it's better not to do that on your actual quilt. But stippling is a good one to start with if you're doing free motion quilting, as well as loops, and just kind of like where you can sort of go and then you loop and then down and loop, and it doesn't matter if you cross over yourself, it's fine. Yeah, that's kind of a good place to start. But if you're also, I would say, don't let your fear of quilting hold you back. So I would practice and then get on it, because you don't want to be sitting there with quilt tops waiting for 5 years. Just because they're so much more fun used and in a quilt form. Another question was whether I had a quilting preference for a long arm machine or my own domestic machine, and I don't have a long arm, so my quilting preference is my own machine. I probably never will have a long arm because they are extremely expensive and take up a ton of space that I don't have. But I taught myself to quilt on my machine and I like it, so I enjoy it. They're sawing stuff still. I'm so sorry for my neighbors. Another random question was, what is my intro music? So when I was setting up my podcast, I suddenly realized I can't just use whatever music I want, because that would be lovely, but there's copyrights. And then discovered YouTube was ready for that, and they had a okayed list of copyrighted music that you can pick from. So I went through that and tried to find the right sound for me. And I think it works for now. I might change it up. Another question was, how did I start dyeing yarn? And this, I think went into this in episode 1, I think. Basically, once I realized that I could turn my love of color into yarn, I was hooked. Once I figured out, in my brain prior to that, it had been yarn dyeing is so hard. Like, it's just like, so there's no way I could ever do it. And then I realized it's just because I haven't done it yet. I hadn't learned. So I taught myself how to dye yarn with the help of researching in YouTube, and Google is a good thing. But still, there's not a ton of info out there. Yeah, so basically I taught myself to yarn dye, and also it was really good because it helped me be free of the restrictions that you can sometimes have if you're only using yarn that you can find in a quilt shop, in a yarn shop. because you're restricted by their quantities, their bases, their colors of what they have in stock, or ordering online, I guess, too. But I just like the freedom of being able to say, this is what I want to make with these colors, and then doing it, finding the yarn and making it. So that's kind of my drive behind yarn dyeing, and why it all boils down to color again, always. So why I started doing it. So this goes, I think the next few questions go into quilting a little bit. Someone asks, what size of scraps? What's the smallest scrap I keep, and how do I organize them, I believe was the full question. So I'm super frugal with fabric. Partly it's the whole history of quilting. It was something people did to use up every bit of fabric that they used from making clothes or anything like that. It's a way to use leftovers to make something useful or memorable. So that's part of my reasons for saving scraps. Partly it's because fabric is expensive. I save my scraps from about the size of 1 inch up. That may change over time. I don't know, but right now I do use projects that have 1 inch squares, easily enough. So I sort by color first, usually. I also have a few bins that I use to sort out strips and squares that I've already sort of cut out of my scrap bins, but this whole topic actually is getting me craving quilting again, which I can't do yet until the city's done. I really, really like the look of scrappy quilts. They're my kind of signature quilt. I prefer the look of scrappy quilts to the looks of quilts that are all in one line of fabric. Partly I find that's because I like my quilt to be all me. So I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm like, oh, well, is that my quilt or is that your quilt? Because they're so similar and you've all used the same fabric in it or something. I don't ever want to have a quilt that looks just like someone else's quilt. I want it to be distinctly mine. And to do that, I need scraps. So that's why I save so much scraps. So I can't wait till after Knit City so I can start quilting and then showing you guys some of my whips in that department, because I have a lot and I have not counted them. I don't want to count them yet. So another question was, what pattern do I recommend for a beginner person to make project bags? So for a good tutorial for a project bag that does not have a zipper, I would recommend Jeni Baker of In Color Orders tutorial for a drawstring pouch. It's free. It's on the web. I'll link to it. With a zipper, I'm mildly biased, but I like my own tutorial to another approach to the open wide pouch, and also the original open wide pouch tutorial by Anna Graham is also very good. Someone said, what is a good beginning quilting ruler? Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm suddenly thinking, are you thinking about for cutting out fabrics with a rotary cutter, in which case I like 6 inches by 24 inches. And then also 6.5 inches square is a very good handy size. I really, now that I'm doing so much fabric cutting, I kind of almost wish I had a slightly longer ruler. I don't even know if they exist. Like a 6 inches by 32 or 28 inches would be amazing. I just don't even know if they exist. Another one was, where in Norway are my great grandparents from? And the answer is Oslo. So I really, really wish I speak Norwegian, but I don't. Sorry. But I love that heritage, and I hope maybe one day I'll get to go to Europe. It's my dream. So another question is, and I feel like I get this one every week, and I feel terrible that people think that I do it all. I don't. So the question is, how do I do it all? The answer is I don't. So 60% I'd say of my to-do list don't get done, or do get done, and maybe 40% is what I wished I could have got done but didn't get done. I just keep at my lists or my goals for a day. I make a schedule. For example, Monday is podcast prep day, sort of. Tuesday I film. In household related items, Tuesday is also the day we wash all the sheets and do laundry catch up, which I'm behind on today. Tuesday is also, hopefully, I'm trying to convince my husband, order in dinner day, because on podcast day, I tend to be running late and busy on the computer for quite a time. And it helps to have my mom help out now, just starting with taking the kids so that I can get a little bit more done, so I can stop panicking so much. And once school starts, I'll be hooped. So I'm trying to crunch on my list as hard as possible right now. Also, like people on Instagram or in podcasts, you only see what I'm showing you. You're not seeing my laundry. You're not seeing the dishes in my sink or my floors. Like, I'll never win the cleanest or most perfect house of the year award ever. I could clean with 4 kids. I could clean 8 hours a day and need to do it again the next day because it's come undone, or my 18-monther has ravaged the house because we're still going through that stage where he just dumps everything out. And just this week, okay, here's an example of my not Instagram worthy day. The other day, Sunday morning, me and my husband, I apologize if you're crazy or squeamish about blood. Sunday morning at 2:30 in the morning, I went to go pick up my baby out of his crib because he's teething still pretty harsh. And I glanced over at my oldest son's bed. They share a bedroom. And my oldest son was covered in blood. And I didn't know what the heck happened. I started screaming and panicking and trying to get him to talk because I didn't know how he got hurt, like in bed, sleeping. And it turns out he had a massive nosebleed, which is he's never done this before. This is astronomical amounts of blood. It was horrifying. Anyways, so my husband was up for a few hours trying to do laundry. And I've been working on it for days of nothing's been dried, so don't worry, we haven't set the blood, but stain treating and rewashing and stain treating and rewashing. I've gone through so much peroxide. And so that started the day. And then that night, so we had people over for dinner, and then people over to visit. And right after we're done, okay, so the house is clean, everything's good, we're chill, it's relax time. And my baby has dumped an entire bag of confectioner sugar all over the kitchen floor. And then he tried to clean it with a mop and spread it around. So confectioner sugar, I don't know if it's the same around the world, but it's like powdered sugar. It's very, very fine sugar and very sweet. And it turns to syrup when it's wet pretty much. So I can hear shrieking in the other room. It's time to go. That was horrific and took so much cleaning and bleaching. But those are the things you don't see on Instagram. So it's not really like things are perfect and everything's done and whatever. It's just I only share things that aren't revolting on Instagram. But yeah, make no mistake, I am not perfect. I do not do everything perfect. I am definitely a whip still. So that brings me, I'm sorry, that was quite a lengthy question and answer segment, but I hope that it helps people who have questions, because this is I saw this word today and I loved it. This is a multi-craftual podcast. So it has everything in it, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. After Knit City, I'll have a lot more quilting in it, and hopefully more finished objects of any sort in it, because I would love to tackle those lists. But yeah, so for next week, I have something exciting planned, another little giveaway, because somebody has sent me something super generously and I'd like to give it to one of you. But it's a sewing giveaway, so I don't know if everyone will want to enter into that. I've seen on Ravelry in our Hello thread that a lot of you knitters also sort of dabble with sewing, and one of my favorite things to do ever is to convert a knitter to quilting and vice versa, so that they can do both, because I find if you do one, you're possibly inclined to doing the other two. You just haven't learned yet or something. But it's one of my favorite things, is encouraging crafters to try other crafts, because it's so fun, and sometimes one craft is better suited for a time than another. So anyways, so that brings us to the end of our 4th episode. People, I can't believe it. It's starting to feel like it's a real thing. And I'm not just faking it. Like, I pretend I have a podcast, but I actually have a podcast, and it's done. So I can't believe it. So episode 4, I will get cracking on my show notes. I know I said I would do them last week, and then things got insane. But show notes will be in my Ravelry group, and I just want to wish you all a happy crafty week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.